Hello, it's Ashton Lewis.
And I'm Daphne Lynn.
And you are listening to the
NDE World Podcast.
Welcome to the NDE World Podcast. I am your host, Ashton Lewis. May peace be with you all. In the studio with me, I have my lovely hostess, Miss Daphne Lynn. Hello, Miss Daphne Lynn. How are you?
Hello, Ashton Lewis. I am doing very, very well. Thank you so much for asking. I'm just enjoying life. It's beautiful. It truly is. And
it is.
I hope that overflows to everyone and they can share the beauty of life as well.
Right.
How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you for asking. Yeah, and speaking of life, life is neither good nor bad. Life is.
Exactly. Yes, well said.
A lot of people say, "Oh, it was so bad. Life is so bad," or life just is. And what you do with it, you could be, not in tune with it, and the way you're using it and working with it may not be, up to par. And those of you out there, if you're working in harmony with things, with life, then, things are up to par, then you're going to look at things as a good life, So anyway, we have a really good show today for you guys. We've been talking about the ego, getting the ego under control.
Getting it in check.
Yeah, working towards that enlightenment, that UDO, that Universal Divine Oneness, that consciousness. And so today we're going to be looking at a few different ways to let you know, so like when you're on this path and you start to practice these things and, you're starting your diet, you're starting your meditations, you're starting your mindfulness, you're starting your, you're practicing, put it into practice, okay? How are you going to know you're making progress? Pretty much. So that's what today is going to be about. We're going to kind of look at some different ways to really start noticing whether or not all this is working. So I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but we're going to go through that and give you, I think we got 9 different, ways to let you know that change is happening and taking place, so.
Yeah. The signs that your ego is starting to dissolve.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect then. Well, before we start, don't forget to go to the website, NDE.world, guys. And it's, we have so much going on over there. We've got all kind of stuff. We've got like the podcast, all the episodes, over 100 plus episodes on all kind of topics and things like that for your spirituality, spiritual growth, the near-death experience world, the supernatural, anything, under that spiritual umbrella, as well.
Yes.
So we've got our Facebook group links on there. And, man, would y'all go over there and join the Facebook group? And we would love to have you guys
Follow us on
we
the podcast page.
Yeah, we'll hang out and be glad to answer any questions you guys have. And if we can't, I'm sure our team can. Yeah. And just communicate. Yeah, introduce yourself. Just say hello. And, we'd love to meet anybody and everybody. So, yeah. And we got the bookstore and lots of free stuff as well. So if you get a chance, go to the website, NDE.world. Again, that is
NDE.world.
All right. As Daphne had just mentioned, this topic is called signs that your ego is starting to dissolve. So how are we going to know we're making progress? Well, let's take a look. And when it comes to ego dissolving, no one's prepared for it, and no one knows what it's going to be like. Some people experience radical transformations that take place in an instant, where they feel an intense shift in their conscious awareness, while others, they experience it little by little over some time. But these are some of the signs that will tell you that you are experiencing ego dissolution.
Letting that ego go.
Let the ego go.
Yes,
Go, ego.
That's right. Bye-bye. See you later. Okay, so right off the top of this, I think of our NDEers immediately where it says some people experience radical transformations that take place in an instant.
Yes,
and then
exactly.
For me, I haven't had an NDE, so my experience of letting go of the ego is a little bit here, a little bit there.
That's
it's
right.
a slow
Taking a different
process
approach.
for
That's
me.
what we're doing as well. Yeah.
Right, because it's about spiritual growth and enlightenment to help you to let go of the ego.
Yeah.
Where with you have an NDE, some kind of spiritual
It's
transformative
pretty much
experience.
instant ego death.
It's immediate. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a big difference in the two for sure. But the point is letting it go, knowing that we're greater than what these physical bodies are.
Yeah. Yeah. Once it clicks, guys, you'll know. In fact, let's look at some signs. How we're going to know. Number one, you'll start to have new perceptions. All right.
Yeah.
Now, let's go on. It says the ego, to a considerable extent, controls your perception and makes you judge things the way you do. So, once you see yourself beginning to see things differently from angles that you've never viewed before, then you know that your ego is starting to diminish. With the knowledge of this in mind, it helps you to know that being able to take another person's idea or see things the way another person does requires you to make a decision that you're willing to accept someone's lead on that particular issue. The ability of you being able to understand the perception of another person in any situation makes it believable that you have control over your ego. And this is a sign that you're able to detach yourself from your ego.
Right. You know, we look at the different perceptions of things, the way we judge things, whether we judge them right, wrong, or just judging the way a person looks or whatever we judge.
Part of that separation. Keep the separation in mind when we talk
yeah.
about that too. So that's why.
When you can start looking at things from different points of view, from different angles, from places you've never viewed before, you can see that your ego is starting to diminish. You don't get that separate. You don't have that feeling of separation so much.
Yeah, you don't have to get offended when somebody makes a suggestion, you know. You don't have to
Become closed off if somebody makes a suggestion.
become closed off. You don't have to get sarcastic and retaliate. You know, you don't have to, you know, go into some kind of altered state because your ego got bruised, your ego got damaged, you know.
And think about this. When you're judging and seeing things those ways, that is all ego. It's what's
Correct.
controlling your perception of things.
That's right. That's right. So if you're getting offended when somebody says something, you're operating through ego. Yeah. And that's what it's saying here. When you get to the point,
You can let it go.
anybody can tell you anything. I mean, they can stand up in your face and cuss you out. I mean, this is control. Okay, I've seen this. You know.
Oh yeah.
And I can't say I don't know how people do it, but it's super total control. It's super self-control when you can get to the point where you can just stay grounded right here, right now, and who you are, and let people be who they are. You may not like it, you know.
That's right.
Not that, you know, you got to go around and let people curse you out and get in your face and scream. But the point is, just a normal everyday conversation. You know, are you okay with people offering ideas and suggestions and things like that, or you know, do you get defensive?
Are you closed off? Just
Are
don't
you
even want to
closed
hear
off
it.
and not want to hear it? Correct. Yeah.
Not paying attention. I mean, it's just like that wall
Ignoring
goes
it.
up.
Yeah. So that'll give you a gauge, you know, to let you know if you're still working through ego. Okay. And as you work on this and start putting all of these things in practice that we've been going over, okay, eventually you're going to get to a point where, you know what, you're going to realize that it's okay. People can, you know, just let them say what they want to say. It's up to you whether or not you want to let them affect you or not. You're giving them the power over you, you know.
We have to realize no thing can harm us, just our ego, because we are life itself. We evolve to the next step in life.
Yeah.
No thing can harm you. No thing. Nothing.
That's right.
Only your ego.
That's right. That's right. And the ego is what gets hurt.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, because the Almighty that is in all, that divine, you know, it can't be hurt. And it's your objective is to get in alignment with that. So guess what? You can't be hurt. You understand you are all or one. You are divine. You are love.
Right.
You are, And that's the objective. Most of us live down more in the ego world, the flesh, the lower vibrations, the lower chakras. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, let's go on to number 2. Getting close to people.
What?
What? Some people in the world see themselves so high above other people, they don't see themselves as on the same level as others. And all that is due to their egos. If you were such a person and suddenly started seeing yourself getting closer to people, this is for sure a sign that your ego is dissolving. However, this doesn't come naturally. You really have to work towards achieving it, and I'm telling you, it's not easy. But with time, you can succeed, and it's always worth it.
Yeah, I'm a people person, but at the same time, I'm an introvert. So, but some people have that high sense of self that think they are
Self-worth.
Their self-worth is more than someone else's, when that is not the case, because we are all equal, we are all the same. But when that is happening, that is truly just the ego.
Yeah.
So when you can get close to others and not look down on others or think that they're on a different level than yourself, then you can start to bridge the gap between, letting go of the ego and defining as one.
Right. And the more you come off of your pedestal and come back down to earth with normal people who are all one, all of us are, and just coming back and getting closer to people, and like we mentioned earlier, being more open to people, let people be who they are and respect them.
Yes,
and love them for the divine essence that is in them.
And you know that they are divine, just as you are divine.
That's right. Know that it's in you and that it's in them as well. And start making that your focus.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So that's number 2, getting close to people. If you're getting closer, that's a good sign. Let's move on along. Number 3. Strong moral judgments are being replaced by acceptance. People who are still influenced by their ego have a serious issue concerning what they think is right and wrong. They always want to prove a point in whatever they're doing. They always want others to know that they're right, and they'll do anything to make sure that that point is proven. This is because the ego is their judge. But as the ego dissolves, you begin to feel less concerned about who's right and who's wrong. You become less concerned about how other people live their lives, whether it's right or wrong. You realize then that everyone's doing what they can for their own survival.
They're defining who they are.
Yes.
And we don't have to place judgments on others.
Law of non-interference.
Exactly. And this is what our laws are based on here is right and wrong, when in true essence that is human construct.
It is.
When we can let go of proving a point, hey, I'm right, you're wrong, you stop making those strong judgments on others and replace those judgments with acceptance that all that is all that is, and all that is divine.
Yeah.
Your world shifts. It is so beautiful and enlightening. It just brings such a sense of peace and joy to your life to say, hey, I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to get involved.
Right.
I can be who I am and let them be who they are, and we are both divine and beautiful.
That's right. Now imagine if the whole world thought like that. What kind of world would we live in?
We'd be living as the highly evolved beings do.
Absolutely. It's very simple. There's a couple of things that really stick out in my mind in this paragraph. As the ego dissolves, you begin to feel less concerned about who is right and who's wrong. Okay, that's the argumentative ego part of you, the personality. I'm right, you're wrong. Well, the other person's thinking the same thing. I'm right, you're wrong. Well, guess what? These are egos conflicting. They're back and forth. So it's not a matter of who's right and who's wrong. When you get to that point of maturity or spirituality, it's beyond that. You realize it's not a matter of that, And I like how it says you become less concerned about how other people live their lives. Now, we've mentioned several times on these episodes about, like, the law of autonomy. Every single human being has a built-in system to function in this world, okay? And that also applies, okay, to other people that don't really need you to get involved because they can handle it. They have a built-in system. So when you get to the point where you're not concerned about how other people, I mean, even family, you're not concerned about it. It's not a matter of you're not loving and wanting to be with them and this and that, but when you get to the point where you're not concerned about how they live their lives, what they do with their lives, when they do with their lives, anything, you focus on you. You focus on bettering yourself and your life and this and that, and you let life be what it needs to be. When you get to that point, you're no longer functioning through ego because you're letting life exist, because that law of autonomy applies to everybody, the law of coexistence as well. We have to have respect for our fellow humans, our fellow animals, nature, life. We have to love and respect that.
Right. And I'm going to say this with you saying that about the law of autonomy, that is the right or condition of self-government, like you said. But the law of non-interference, it emphasizes, just respecting the autonomy and sovereignty of other people, and then refraining from imposing your will onto them.
I love that. Can you repeat that, please? Like have that respect for other people's autonomy. How did you say that? And then
it's just respecting the autonomy and sovereignty of others.
That's right.
While refraining from imposing your will onto another.
That's right. Your life works for you, and that's awesome. That's perfect. Mm-hmm. But you don't have the right to impose anything or any of your rights or anything that you think that works for you onto another person, because you are disrespecting their autonomy. You are disrespecting, that their divinity, their life, and what they're doing. You're intervening, with that. And when you get to the point where and that's just ego trying to get involved with things. When you get to the point where, okay, it is what it is. Life's going to be what it's going to be, and it's all going to work out. Mm-hmm. And you get back into, yourself and getting grounding in yourself and your oneness and like that, and you're putting those laws into effect. You're working in harmony with universal laws.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Lots of them.
And that's such peace that comes from letting go of the need to control others, the need for you to push your belief systems or thoughts or your
any kind of dominance or illusion of dominance.
This is my best advice for you. You need to do this. You don't have to do any of that.
No.
Let everyone be who they are. And that releases that need for control. That's just ego. And when you can let that go and accept everyone as they are, it's rewarding. It truly is.
That's right. And that's what this is all about. We're giving you techniques, guys, and we just start putting this into practice. Okay? Start working with these laws. Mm-hmm. Get the mind right. Start eating right. Put forth the effort. Start working on your self-responsibility, your self-discipline. You can change your life right now.
Exactly.
Get into meditation and mindfulness and become aware of all these things that's taking place. When you get into these meditative states, focus on these things that you are challenging, that's challenging you through your ego.
It transcends the ego.
That's right. And get it under control. That's what this is all about. It's all about that. So, yeah, let's move on to number 4, feelings of oneness. When you begin to experience ego disassociation, you begin to see everyone as the same. Mm-hmm. The time when you looked at some people with dismay or disapproval is no more. Now all you see is everyone being the same and unique in their different ways. You see that people are the same, that no one is greater or better than the other.
Mm-hmm.
You come to terms with the fact that we're all one. The ego has always been the one controlling your emotions when you saw people differently and how some people were better than others. But now, that's no more.
Yeah, I mean, that feeling of oneness, when you can truly, from a deep internal sense, look at someone else and say, I am that and that is me. You know, that oneness that comes with it, it dissolves the ego. It really and truly does. You know, you don't have to look at others with dismay or disapproval. You just see everyone as they are. Their uniqueness is what they are defining them as.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
If you can see people like we've been saying, but really see it from a divine perspective.
Yes.
And see that's not a man or woman or white or red or black or yellow, whatever. It's not that. It's not the hair. It's not the body. There is a being, a spiritual being there, okay? You might not see it, okay? It may not be emanating like some, and some are more than others. We know they got that glow. And know that they're neither male nor female. That's not a man or a woman. That's not a black or a white. That's not what we call a human. That human is all part of that construct. It's part of the illusion.
Yeah.
You have to look through the human suit, the avatar,
soul.
at the soul. Yeah.
Yeah.
And look at them like that. That is a divine spiritual soul that's neither human, not black, not white, not green, not yellow, whatever, not male, not female. It's all, just like the all is, both,
right. And that's the beauty of the soul. We have, with reincarnation, we have been male, we have been female,
all
we
races,
have been
all different,
all that is experiencing life,
all signs of the zodiac.
Yes.
Think about it. You have to be able to experience all these. You have to grow.
Yeah, you as a soul have been many different genders, many different races.
Right. But you're still a soul, which is neutral. You're neither male nor female.
And that's what we have to look at everybody as a
that
soul.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah. And that soul is what we all are. That's the connection.
Yeah. Don't look at the ego of it.
Correct.
The physical part. Yeah.
Yeah. I've even heard some people, I'm not saying this is what it is, so I'm just putting out the disclaimer there, but some people even related the conscious and unconscious as the ego and the spirit. This our conscious awareness is tied in with the ego because it's what we've become. It's what we are aware of. It's that, that's that everyday, can be really linked to that as well, where that subconscious or that part you get into meditation or whatever is getting back into that spirit, so.
When you can truly see everyone as one.
Universal
life-changing.
Divine Oneness.
Exactly. Hello. That's the purpose for this series, raising the consciousness, letting us all know.
Well, let's move on to the next one here. Number 5, your way of observation becomes keen. This is another way to know that your ego is truly dissolving. It can also be referred to as being self-aware. Okay, we've brought that out so many times in these episodes. This is the ability, for you to take cognizance of your mind and what it does. This might sound very simple, but in reality, it's not. It can be achieved, though, through meditation, which is the simplest way to do it. There are other ways in which you can do this, but in all, it requires constant practice. When you practice this mindfulness, you see that you can control some negative thought patterns that come into you, especially if you're in a relaxed state. Sometimes you remember issues that you had with someone and how you would have responded to them, but as you continue to practice your meditation, you see that you begin to gain control over those thoughts and begin to let them go and be able to let go of things of the past. When you do this, You might not have won the argument, okay? But definitely you'll be at peace with yourself. Being able to observe your ego makes it difficult for the ego to control your emotions because you can always conquer it.
I've said this and thought this throughout the past. We all kind of get in the mirror in our head sometimes, and reflect back on little things that we had arguments on or whatever. I could have said this, and those little plays you go over and over in your head. We have to let that stuff go. It's not about truly having to respond and push your thoughts or winning or losing anything with everything. You just have to observe from an out of body experience. Let things go and just see things as they are. And like we said, it's about that practicing mindfulness.
Yeah, like that's brought out here, like we've mentioned many times. You have to begin to develop that self-awareness and be mindful of the things that you do. Make the right choices with what you eat, what you watch, what you listen to, anything that you do in your daily life. You have to be disciplined and, make conscious decisions. It's a form of mindfulness is what we've been calling
right.
it.
And it really requires constant practice in doing that. We got to get out of our head, get in a more relaxed state. That helps us to let go of past things that we try to control. It's gone. We're
right.
here, we're now. Be in the moment that we're in.
That's right. And so many people are stuck in their heads, which something, like I said, happened, yesterday, earlier today, last week, last year, 10 years, 30, 40 years ago. And it's still affecting them to this day because of, to them in their mind, it's still real.
You're still
Your
living in
mind's
the
still
ego.
playing it. Yeah. And the ego is feeding off of that. And it's going to keep you in a low vibration.
Right, exactly.
So it can thrive,
Right. Yeah, when you can just detach from that and let go and see it from, if it's something that you have to observe, then observe it, let it go. Don't go into the moment. Just let it be, and just get into a more resourceful state of mind and state of being.
Absolutely, absolutely, and still conscious of, you making your own choice of what you want to put into your mind, what you want to dwell on, what you want to think about, what you want to do with it.
And you, when you do start letting the ego go, you don't even really view things and think about things the way that you once did. That's that transcending and making those spiritual adjustments and soul growth that it's not something that you even really concern yourself with anymore.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and move on to number 6. Thank you, by the way, Daphne. It says that you begin to experience a mild, quote unquote, out-of-body experience. People feel that it's not possible to dissolve the ego to the barest minimum, but truthfully, you can dissolve the ego to the point where you don't feel like you're in your body, or that natural high they speak of, You experience some hallucinations that might make you feel so many things and even question some things that happen in your life, and also things that you see around you. When you can dissolve your ego to this point, you can control your emotions perfectly because you find it difficult to get hurt from the things that can happen to you in this life. Like it says it, in this life. And this makes it possible for you to easily get up and start all over again when the going gets tough. I think that ego delusion exists on a spectrum, and you're getting to the latter end of it. Now, it might be that your ego is what allows you to feel your fingers and connects you to this world. And when you've dissolved it enough, you start to feel that you're not in your body anymore.
Living life through the higher self.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. Especially, like we've talked about this, remember, if that's all that's going into the mind, and if all you're eating is high vibration food, we've talked about the frequencies, and we've got some really cool videos coming up we're going to be putting out for you guys as well. It's going to blow your mind. We have recently talked about the diet with the UDO system on how, Mother Earth and gives us the live energy foods. We had frequency charts and everything.
Yeah.
And so when you're when you're eating the way you're supposed to, you're exercising, you're meditating, you're living life the way you're supposed to, guess what? You're going to be on such a high vibration, it's going to feel almost like an out-of-body experience because of that vibration that you're going to be vibrating at.
Right. And, myself, I have never had a true out-of-body experience like many people have. But, when you
We've
can
talked to many
experience...
people who have,
Yes, exactly. When you can, step out of that moment and let go of the ego, it starts to dissipate. It starts to heal everything within your body. You don't have that sense of needing to control everything.
Right. Which, when you really start looking how all this stuff fits together, you can see how this plays a role in your growth, in your enlightenment,
Right.
in your, spiritual journey.
Right. When you can let go of the ego, your emotions don't control you. You control your emotions.
Right, right. And that's the challenge with most of the world today, emotional instability. And we'll leave that at that, It's something that, everybody needs to work on, all of us.
They got all kind of fancy names for it, too.
Yeah, and all kind of drugs to give somebody to make them worse, tell them that they...
To help you with something that you're in control of.
Okay, moving on to number 7. The strive to be somebody falls away. What? When your ego begins to dissolve, you suddenly realize that you've been spending most of your life trying to prove yourself to the world, trying to make the world believe you, trying to receive validation for an image that's based on nothing. Whereas you should have been spending that time trying to be the person that you ought to be. The tendency to compare yourself with another person begins to go down. You now begin to enjoy what it feels like to be liberated. You begin to see yourself through the eyes of an ever-changing point of perspective, reacting to every moment as they come.
There's beauty in that. Yes, yes, yes. When we start to let go, we can see ourselves ever changing, ever growing. We don't have to search for validation or trying to prove ourselves or anything like that. No kind of validation is necessary.
Yeah, and like it says, a little something to think about. Everybody, almost everybody, strives to be somebody in some kind of way, And typically when you're striving to be somebody or to do something, that's going to feed that ego. Because you're striving to be something that you're not.
You're just feeding the ego.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing.
You're playing the role.
Yeah.
The mask, the persona, the person.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. When you really get it under control, you no longer have that desire to be somebody or to have to prove something or have to get out and do anything. You don't need validation. That's what it is.
Right.
So many people these days, Daphne, need validation.
Right.
Validation is probably, I would say, the number one thing that people feel that they need in some kind of way, Apparently, they're not getting it at home. They have not getting it from their family. They're not getting it from somebody. So most people have the fake egoic validation where they have to go on like social media and their cell phones and they have to take pictures of themselves and see how many likes they can get, how many thumbs up they can get or whatever. This is a joke. It's all an illusion. This is just a big ego world. People are trying to get validation from some kind of way instead of going within themselves and realizing, hey, I don't need nobody's validation. I don't need nobody's likes. I don't need any of that.
Right. When we stop comparing ourselves with another, that's when we begin to enjoy what it feels like to just be. And that's liberating because you're not in comparison with others. I mean, that strive to be and be validated is gone. I mean, that's when you really know you're really transcending the ego.
Right, right.
And it's very rewarding.
Well, let's move on to number 8. We've got 8 and 9 left here. We're good with time, and we'll go ahead and wrap things up. But let's go do number 8. It says that you begin to experience replication experiences. So what is this?
What's that?
When the ego is being dissolved enough, all right, you begin to experience what's called simulation experiences. That is, glimpsing other realities. It's believed that the souls of a man are in some sort of simulation and normally come to reality. The ego is what's required to direct in this particular reality. And this reality is, in fact, a place where souls come to level up. And that part and parcel of being here is that we have an ego. To this end, the ego is very important, but even with that, it can be dissolved for some time. Yeah, I think of like astral, work. When people get on that spiritual high, that good spiritual, or they're working with their body and mind, and even doing the practices, in meditation, they can go into meditation and can go into those alternate, realities, those alternate dimensions.
Yeah. That's pretty wild.
Number 9, synchronicity events. All right. At some point in your life, you may notice that everything seems to be following a particular pattern. It's like everything you come in contact with is somehow related to each other. This is called synchronicity of events. And this comes as a result of the fact that you started experiencing ego disassociation. It's believed that the synchronicity of events are signals from the simulation. Thus, the ability for you to see the patterns and be able to understand them. Well, there are your 9 signs that your ego is starting to dissolve. Okay, very good. Daphne.
Yeah, you really, I think about the synchronicities and little signs that I get throughout every day. And it's just like, wow, just...
You can tell.
I have seen such a shift in my reality more in the last year than I've ever experienced in my whole life.
All righty. Well, perfect. I tell you what, it looks like, looking at the clock on the wall there, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap things up, Daphne. We're pretty good. It's a little bit shorter episode than, most of our UDO episodes have been. We've been putting some pretty good time
Let's
on them.
do a recap on them.
Yeah, let's do that.
The signs that your ego is starting to dissolve.
Yeah.
New perceptions.
Okay.
You are getting close to people if you may not have been. Your strong moral judgments are being replaced by acceptance.
Yep.
Feelings of oneness.
Yep.
Your way of observation becomes keen. You begin to experience a mild out-of-body experience. The strive to be somebody falls away. You begin to experience replication experiences. Oh, you know what? That just reminded me of, David's multiple himself in his book.
Yeah, do you remember that?
I do, yes. Okay. And then the synchronicity events. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, there's many different forms of, and signs that your ego is starting to dissolve.
Yeah.
You're gaining control of your ego. You're taking back control.
Well, hopefully these will give you guys some idea of where you're at on your path. Are you at phase 1? Or are you still even on the sidelines? Most people are on the sidelines. So you have to get to phase 1, which means you start getting that mindset. You start getting the food right. You have to start putting things into practice. So most people, if you can at least get to phase 1, you're making progress. So, okay, Miss Daphne, any final comments?
Yeah, just, through meditations, start focusing on how you can let go of your ego if you haven't let it go. If you have let it go, then how can you better evolve and help others to transform their lives?
And I don't think it's a matter of letting it go. I think it's just a matter of getting it under control.
Exactly.
I think you're going to have to maintain it because that's where that daily comes in. Because I think if you give it any kind of leadway or any kind of slack, it will creep right back in, and you're going to be right back where you started. People don't understand the seriousness of the discipline part of it. Most people, they can't even get to phase 1. They can't even get on the path to this. It takes a disciplined person just to even get on the path. you see. So, but anyway, well, very good, guys. Let's go ahead and wrap things up and go over to the website, NDE.world, and check out some of the episodes over there. We've got topics covering all kind of stuff, really, that,
Oh, yeah.
we've done lots of episodes on all the stuff we're covering. And
Yeah, we've been working on updating the website, and it looks great, by the way.
Thank you.
It's a lot more user-friendly and just laid out a lot better. So I really am enjoying the new layout and everything.
Good deal.
Great
good deal.
job.
Thank you. Yeah, well, we've been wanting to get it updated, and I've just been so busy with all these other projects that we've got going on, especially with the podcast and all, and pretty tight schedule.
And just taking time to do it.
Yeah. So over the last couple of weeks, been able to get in there and start updating things, and getting it updated. Well, thank you. Yeah, guys, go over there and check it out. We've got all kind of goodies for you, and we're still adding to it, and we're changing it daily. So it may be one thing today, and maybe something different tomorrow, just to let you know, because we're growing like everyone else, and the more we learn, the more we'll add to it, the more we can, share. So it's being updated regularly, so thank you.
And like with the bookstore section, if you have a book, topic related, that is you do not see on the website bookstore, let us know. Make some suggestions. If you have a video, topic related, let us know. We'll be glad to add it to it. We'll check it out and let you guys know.
Yes, very good. And there's a contact, button on there to contact us,
button,
or if you want to share your story, just hit that link. And there's free stuff as well. So anyway, NDE.world. Again, that is
NDE.world.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We love you all so much. May peace be with you. Until next time.
Y'all let your light shine.
Hello, you beautiful souls. Don't forget to visit the website, NDE.world. That is
NDE.world.